Excuse me, I've got a question for you. Is your car a little bit too fast? Maybe it's a little bit too big. Maybe you don't get made fun of enough for it being a woman's car. Well, I've got the solution for you. Let me introduce you to the Miata. The Miata is known for being the best project car around, and there's even an acronym for this. The acronym is Miata. Miata is always the answer. In spite of that, I thought I'd make my own acronym. VAMP, video about Miatas, incoming, prepare yourself. The first generation Miata was designed by Bob Hall, who missed and took inspiration from the old school British roadsters. The Miata was designed to be as small and as light as humanly possible. They put the engine behind the front axle to give it a near 50-50 weight distribution. The first generation Miata, also known as the NA Miata, debuted in 1989 and was in production until 1997. That's a lot of Miatas. It came out with a 1.6 liter, making a whopping huge, insane amount, 116 horses. In 1993, they got the 1.8 liter. The first generation Miata took heavy influence from the Lotus Elan. I put it had no brakes, but obviously the car had brakes. I don't think it had no power steering or brakes. The NA Miata came without power steering, and it came without anti-lock brakes. And of course, the best feature that you all know and you all love, the pop-up headlights. Now, the car was by no means fast, but it was successful. They sold over 500,000 first generation Miatas. The second generation Miata was made from 1998 until 2005. The second generation Miata gets hate for removing the pop-up headlights, but this generation made a little bit more power. This time, they really increased it. 142, almost 150. Almost halfway to 200, man. And it now came with a 6-speed manual. The Mazda Speed MX-5 was introduced in 2003 and 2004. The Mazda Speed MX-5 made 178 beautiful horses. Now that's what I call fast. And guess what? That sweet turbo sound was included in the package, just little for free. Plus 178 ponies. What more could you want? The third generation was made from 2005 to 2015. This generation was mostly the same as the second generation, but came with the power top, and that was pretty much it. A little bit design change, but not much. The engine stayed the same, and the chassis also stayed the same. The fourth generation is made from 2015 until now. This one came with a boost in power to 181 horsepower out of the naturally aspirated inline 4. And it's the same formula as the beginning. The Miata stayed true to its design throughout all the generations, with the fourth gen having more of a removable top as opposed to a true convertible style like the previous gens. In total, they've sold over 1 million Miatas across all generations and over 500,000 of the first generation, the NA Miata with the pop-up headlights. And people bought them because they had a balanced chassis. They were cheap to buy, easy to work on, cheap to modify. They were reliable and they were fun cars. Now, will you get made fun of for driving a Miata? Yes, you will. It's a girl's car. I mean, it's a tiny car. If you want to build a race car, the Miata is probably your best option, especially for people who are building a race car or going racing for their first time. It's the cheapest race car you can get. They handle fantastic. You can add power pretty easily. Turbo kits are very widely available, or you can engine swap. Roll cages are already made, and there's kits for everything that you could need to do to get your car race ready. There's even entire leagues for only Miatas to race in, right? You could do time attack. You could do rallycross. You could do stage rally. You could do what other racing is there? Anything you can dream of, you can do with a Miata. Literally, they have done it. Look it up. Whatever you're thinking, you're like, oh, I've got an original idea with the Miata. No, you don't. It's done. They did it already 16 years ago. In 2004. Now, the Miata hit a point in the past year or so where they were going for stupid money. If you bought a Miata for over $10,000 at the peak of the price, why? What is wrong with you? $10,000 for 140 horsepower. That sounds like a good decision. No, but they are great cars, and they're great around the racetrack, even without the power. And this was truly the first car to show that you didn't need power to have a fun car, and it didn't need to be expensive or have a lot of features or creature comforts or even be big enough to fit 2 fully grown adults. You want to put a suitcase in the back? Well, that's too damn bad. We're going to the racetrack with the top down. Nowadays, you can find Miatas anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000, depending on what year you're looking at. The NA Miata, I would say, is the best, as they made the most of them. They're the oldest, so they'll be the cheapest. But people people have destroyed these cars. So try to buy a stock one, but if you don't, your own risk. I'm warning you now. The Miata has done everything when it comes to modifying a car. They make Miata rally cars, Miata track cars. They make Miata, anything you can think of. They probably made a Miata 4-door. Somebody probably cut a Miata in half and took another Miata and put 2 doors on it. They put a V8 in a Miata, which I don't know how that physically works. Like, I feel like the dimensions of the engine bay don't act like wouldn't fit a V8, but they did it anyways. Somebody put a V10 in a Miata. Anything you could think of, they've done to a Miata. So if you want a Miata, it's the perfect car for everybody, unless you want to fit more than 2 bags in it, and then you might have to put the top down and stick it out the roof. They are probably the best known project car, and that's for a good reason. They were so cheap and such a driver focused car that people loved them, and they still do. Even the old ones get no hate from any enthusiast. They're raw sports cars that even under that little engine and little chassis, they're meant for driving, and that's why people love them. And people still love them, and lots of people do love them. The prices are coming down a little bit since the spike, so it's actually reasonable and understandable to buy Miata today. Unlike, I couldn't say the same for that last year or 2 years ago when Miatas were you just wanted to stay away. Let's just keep it at that. So if you want a car that goes fast in a straight line, not for you. Go look at a Mustang, all right? Big, tough guy. Go look at a muscle car. If you want the refined cornering machine that was the Miata, there's no better choice. I'll end you off with this. Miata is always the answer. Miata. I like the Miata. The Miata's a great car. Let me know if I missed anything in this video also. I'll see you guys later. Maybe if you want a little bit more horsepower, maybe you want twin turbos, maybe you want a V6, maybe you want all-wheel drive, go check out this video about the 3000 GT and how Mitsubishi almost made a supercar. That's all I've got today. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Go whip your Miata in the canyon and get gapped by your mom's minivan at the same time. Thanks. Bye.